Hey friends, welcome back to Mustard Seed Homesteading. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Megan and I am so glad that you came by today because we are going to be making a bunch of freezer meals today. Now, normally I'm in my backyard garden or sharing my green stalks with you all, but I had a few people ask me, what is it that you do with all that food that you harvest every week? And one of the ways that I've started to really enjoy using the harvest is by making freezer meals for my family, and that's what we're going to do today. Now, before we get started and get into the kitchen, there's a few things I do want to share with you. The recipes that I'm using are not my own personal recipes. They're from two sources that I just gravitated to because you can use them or cook them in a Instant Pot or crock pot, which is my favorite method of cooking because I'm just a very busy mom and wife. And both of them I actually found off of Instagram. The first one is Clean Monday Meals, and the second one is the Family Freezer. And I have really found them to be very easy, very simple, which is why we're going to be making our freezer meals from them. And I also want to say that I am not an affiliate with them. I just gravitated, like I said, to their recipes because they are super simple and just easy to put together. I also wanted to quickly add that I do plan to make another video making more freezer meals with just recipes that I made up on my own, using a lot of the cherry tomatoes and a lot of the extra tomatoes that grew out of my garden. What I am going to be doing throughout the video is just recording, and I will be doing a voiceover because I'm going to be making 10 different recipes, and each recipe I will be making 2 freezer meals, so a total of 20 freezer meals. It's going to take a lot out of me to make sure I have everything. I'm cooking meatballs, I'm cutting, I'm squeezing lemons and limes. I have my family in the background. My daughter started off mincing garlic, and then my husband took over and minced the garlic for me. And so there's just going to be a lot of busyness, but I do want to talk through as I'm going, and so I just wanted to let you know. By the way, before we get started, I just wanted to quickly share with you, as I'm talking to you all, I'm sitting right next to the green stalks that grew those really massive onions that were almost 16 inches in circumference. I'll leave that video down below if you're new to my channel and you didn't get a chance to see it. But we are going to be using the onions that I harvested from these in the video, and I'm super excited about it. Right now, I'm actually growing some leeks, which I'm surprised they're growing right now, but they're growing really beautifully in there. So I just wanted to add that real quick. All right, friends, I am really excited about these freezer meals. Here are all the recipes I will be using. The first one that we're going to be making is the honey lime chicken. Now with the Clean Monday meals, I'm just writing all the recipes on the Ziploc bags because I did buy a hard copy of the recipe book. And then with the freezer family meals, I had printed those out and I will be placing them on the Ziploc bags with tape. And if you saw my recipes written out, I did write the amount of meat that I needed on the side of the recipes and then took everything out the night before to make sure it was all defrosted.
Barbecue sauce.
Now that's just me being goofy. I forgot the barbecue sauce, but right now I'm just gathering all the ingredients that I need so that I'm not having to pull everything out every 2 seconds. While I am still gathering all the ingredients, I do want to let you know that I will leave links to Clean Monday Meals and Family Freezer down below in the description. And that's my sweet daughter who's helping me mince garlic back there. She wanted to wave at you all and say hi. Now I'm ready to start putting these meals together, and I'm placing my recipe book on this really cute holder that I actually got from Aldi's a long time ago. It is beautiful and very heavy. And of course, some coffee. These stands that I'm using are super helpful when it comes to holding the Ziploc bag, so I will be using these 2 for each recipe. All right, my first recipe is the honey lime chicken, and what I plan to do for each recipe is clean the chicken, put it in the bowl, and then use the tongs to place them into the bags. Then I will dump all the other ingredients in. Here is my juicing lid. For some reason, I put it over a small little bowl, and it's supposed to go over the mason jar. I do end up putting it on a mason jar later on in the video though, so that you can see how it works properly. I really love how simple and flavorful this recipe is. You could probably put this with tortillas or even on a bed of rice and with a side of veggies from the garden. You will see me from time to time clean in between meals because I like to have my space a little bit clean because it helps me to focus better. And this recipe pretty much just required seasoning, chicken, honey, and lime. And I actually ended up using lemon because I had lemons that needed to be used up. I will just end up using limes next time I make this. Now that everything is in the bags, what I like to do next is massage the ingredients together to make sure that they mix very well. Because what I also love about freezer meals is the fact that they're sitting in those juices and seasonings and pretty much marinating. On to our second recipe, the Hawaiian chicken, which also sounds really good. Here are my cans of pineapple chunks that I buy from Azure Standard. I've shared these before on my Azure hauls. I love their canned goods and think the quality is very good, and the juice in there is also very delicious. All right, friends, this can opener is one of my favorite tools in the kitchen. It makes opening cans so easy. While I do have the handheld can openers, these little devices make cooking in the kitchen just a little bit easier. And the reason I'm showing you the lid off of the can is the way this cuts the lid off, it gives it a smooth edge and it comes off so easily without the extra shavings of the can or paper, if you know what I mean. Now I'm adding coconut sugar that I like buying in bulk from Azure, and I love getting the organic coconut aminos from Thrive Market, and we'll be adding that as well. This chicken would definitely taste good over rice or a lettuce wrap or even some tortillas. Now I'm just going to massage all the ingredients together so they can get all incorporated. And then as I make these meals, you're going to see me lay them flat on these baking sheets. My goal is to freeze them flat and then stand them up in my freezer on a shelf once they're frozen. On to meal number 3, lemon pepper chicken. This meal is super simple with only chicken, olive oil, lemon juice, black pepper, and salt. And the lemon juice that I use in this recipe is the Italian Volcano brand, and I buy these in pack of 2 from Costco. I really like this lemon juice, and I also use this in my Tulsi Holy Basil homemade tea as well. These magnetic measuring spoons that you see me using have been so nice to have in the kitchen because it keeps everything together. And I will leave a link to the can opener as well as these measuring spoons in the description below if you're interested in getting them. This recipe I think would be really great over some linguine noodles or any type of pasta and a little side salad fresh from the garden. Meal number 4 I'm excited to make because I'm actually using and preserving some of the peppers from the garden. And friends, do you remember all of the garlic that we harvested from the green stalks and some of the beds? I will be using that in the recipes, and this is what my daughter and husband minced for me so that I can freeze the remainder of it and use them in future recipes. And all the chopped frozen onion that you just saw in that bag were from the onions that we all harvested from the green stalks as well. I am so excited to be able to use these staples in my recipes from my own garden. This is truly what makes all the hard work from gardening feel so rewarding because I'm using it in recipes that are not only helping me save time, but also nourishing my family. Now, I do want to quickly add that if I did not have any need for these bell peppers, whether fresh eating or making these frozen meals, I would definitely either slice them up and put them in the freezer for future use, or I would put them in my freeze dryer to have for future use. I also want to quickly point out that I try to use every part of the pepper, and before I slice the actual pepper, I chop off the shoulders of the top of the pepper so that nothing goes to waste. And for this recipe, I'm just chopping them in slices, but you can chop peppers for your recipe in bite sizes or any way that you would like. I'm really looking forward to trying this recipe because of how much flavor is packed into this recipe, and I definitely think this would taste good with tortillas and or rice, or for a carb-friendly meal, some lettuce wraps. Not all fajita meals use honey, but this one does, which is why I'm looking forward to trying it. All right, now I'm going to use the juicer the correct way over the mason jar. Friends, I absolutely love this top for the mason jar to squeeze lemon juice or lime juice, and it really does make it super simple. In fact, I ordered another one just to have as a backup, and the quality of the stainless steel piece is so well made. It does not feel like it's going to easily bend or get ruined in the kitchen. Next, I'm just going to add all the seasonings in the bags, incorporate all of the ingredients together, and then lay it flat on the cooking sheet. Something I want to quickly point out about these measuring spoons, one side is circular and the other one is oval, and the oval side has been perfect for the seasoning bottles. And now, friends, we are almost halfway done with the freezer meals with meal number 5, sweet and sour meatballs. For this meal, I pre-made the meatballs, but I will say these meatballs are really easy to make, and I would totally make these even if I wasn't making freezer meals. They were super simple and quick to put together. And I would like to add, they smelled so good. Once the meatballs were cooled down, I then placed them into the bags. And here's the barbecue sauce that I like to use from Primal Kitchen. And what I did here was once I poured the barbecue sauce in the bags, I added a little bit of water in there and shook the bottle up just to get all the little bits out and put them into the bags. And the reason I did that is, one, I don't like to waste any barbecue sauce, but because these will be cooked in the Instant Pot or the slow cooker, it does require a little bit of extra liquid when I go to cook it anyways. Now for meal number 6, orange ginger chicken. This is the last freezer meal from the Clean Money Meals cookbook. This recipe sounds good with rice.
Minced ginger by my hubby. Thanks, honey, for the minced garlic.
Anytime I can get help from my husband, it's much appreciated. He is such a hardworking, devoted father and husband, and I am truly blessed. So I already added the orange juice and the honey, and then I'm going to be taking some coconut oil and melting it before I put it in there. As far as the ginger, I took some ginger from the freezer that I pre-peeled and cut, and I shredded it up in my little blender. Now I have my melted coconut oil. I'm going to be adding that as well as some crushed red pepper, and that's it, you guys. Super simple. The next set of recipes now are going to be from thefamilyfreezer.com, and I picked 4 different recipes. Now what I'm doing is cutting out the recipe and the instructions and taping it to the bags. On to our 7th recipe, easy hamburger soup. So I added the raw ground beef and onions from the garden, and the reason I have my weigh machine is because I bought bulk peas from Azure, and it calls for a 10-ounce bag of peas and carrots, and so I just weighed them out and threw that into the bag. I did decide to do frozen cut up hash brown potatoes as opposed to using the potatoes from my garden. One, to save time because I was running out of time, but also I've had these frozen potatoes for a little while and I wanted to use them up. Now I may not like it with this recipe when I cook it, but at least I'll know when we do cook it, so that way either I can use that again or I know to use fresh potatoes. Friends, doesn't this look absolutely delicious? This would definitely taste good with a side of bread and butter. All you need to do is add some beef broth and cook it. Recipe number 8, healthier taco lettuce wraps. This recipe called for finely grated zucchini, so I chopped it up in my blender and added it, and the rest is literally onions, tomato paste, and seasonings. And of course, this recipe would be great with Bibb or romaine lettuce, but you could also put this on a bed of rice with a side of beans or even make a taco bowl. Do you all remember those red onions from the GREENSTALKs? I'm using them in this recipe, and when I tell you those red onions are absolutely delicious, I cannot wait to grow them again. By the way, while I'm chopping this up and adding the rest of the ingredients, please comment below and share what freezer meals are your favorite and how have freezer meals helped you and your family. I know for me, I realize that my time as a mom and wife is so incredibly busy, and I never really looked at freezer meals as saving time, but I've had a totally different mindset about it since I started making some with my harvest last year, and it has just taken a lot of stress off of me and allows me to be more present with my family. All right, friends, we're almost done. This is number 9, 1 pot ground beef taco pasta. I actually did forget to thaw out 2 extra beef, so I just took them out frozen and stuck them in there. And maybe in the future, if I can enough tomatoes, I can actually use that in these frozen meals. But for right now, I love my canned tomato paste and sauce. I purposely picked this recipe because it is a bit different than what we're normally used to eating. Having a ground beef taco with pasta sounds very interesting and delicious, and I cannot wait for us to try this. And a great side to pair this meal with would be a fresh salad from the garden or any kind of veggie from the garden, depending on the season. That salsa that I use in this recipe, by the way, is the salsa that I purchased from Costco. It has very clean ingredients and it tastes delicious. This is my go-to if I don't have any homemade, and I love using this salsa with some chicken in the Instant Pot and making a shredded chicken taco meal. It is so delicious, which now that I think about it, I will probably share this on one of my future freezer meal videos. Now that we've completed number 9 recipe, we are going to be moving on to number 10, our last and final recipe, the lemon chicken with baby spinach. This recipe is also very simple. Besides the chicken, it's just spinach, minced garlic, olive oil, lemon juice, and your seasonings. As much as I would have loved to use spinach from the garden, I don't have any at the moment, so I like to buy this big tub of organic baby spinach because I also use spinach for juicing. And I think that this recipe would taste very good over pasta, or you could always make a side of rice. As I'm winding down and finishing up my freezer meals, you'll see the vacuum in the background. My husband is helping to clean the kitchen. One thing I will definitely keep an eye on though is whether or not that tape stays on the bag, because typically, at least in my experience, tape, when it gets wet, it comes off, so I will have to reassess that if they do end up coming off. Now for the seasonings, I do get to use my dwarf basil that I freeze dried from last year. I love the freeze dryer when it comes to herbs. They taste so good. Friends, I am so glad that I made all these meals. It is literally going to help me save so much time in the long run, and I cannot wait to try all of these recipes, and I'm so glad that I was able to share this with you all. So there they are, my friends, 10 different recipes, 2 meals each with a total of 20 freezer meals to save me time and have less stress and more time with my family. Well, friends, I don't know about you, but for me, any way that I can preserve my harvest, whether it's putting it in the freeze dryer or throwing it in the freezer, eating it fresh, or now my favorite method, freezer meals, I just feel so accomplished, and I feel like I just did not let anything go to waste, because I don't know about you, but for me, anytime I put so much hard work into my garden and growing this food, the worst feeling, at least for me, the worst feeling is to see it go bad or not know what to do with it. So I am so glad that I was able to make these freezer meals and share them with you, and found some super simple recipes to make them with. By the way, I also want to ask all of you that if there is a way that you like to preserve your harvest or some ideas that you have, please leave them in the comments below, because not only do I want to hear them, but I'm sure a lot of other people would love to read and get other ideas as well, because on this channel, not only do I want to share my journey, but I also want to really encourage community and just helping one another and sharing what has worked and what hasn't worked, because it really truly does help everyone, especially myself too, because I am still learning. I don't know everything, and I'll never claim to know everything, but if you can leave those in the comments below, it would be so helpful. So friends, I just want you to know how much I really look forward to doing these videos every week. I love to share my journey, what has worked, what hasn't, things I'm trying to figure out, things I haven't figured out, and all in between, because I really want to be as transparent with you all in saying that if I can do it, you guys can definitely do it. And it's just something that I want to share with you all and encourage you through every step of the way, showing all the things that has worked and hasn't worked for me. And I just want you to know that I really enjoy your comments. It encourages me, and I am beyond grateful for the community that is growing just on this channel right now. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate every single one of you. And I always want you to remember this, friends. I know I share this at the end of my videos, every one of my videos, and there's a reason for it, because I really truly want you to not only just be encouraged, but I want you to stay encouraged and always stay inspired. Because if you can stay inspired and just think of new things and experiment and try new things, it is definitely very encouraging. And so I always want to share that, because I want all of you to be encouraged and inspired always. I really look forward to seeing you guys next time, and thanks for being here always.